When you're ready. Okay, so there we are. Yeah, so the idea um, behind the course itself was to make something that would be accessible to people and would also be really complete and whole as a single learning source. I wanted to set it up so that we went from the very beginning right through to having needs awareness as a spiritual practice. And so, and everything in between, and how do you get there? Um, so uh, that's what it's for. And it's not that that wasn't exactly available before, but for me, the frustration was that there were a lot of different, like, people doing different things, but it didn't really create a single direction. Sometimes there was duplication, sometimes there were gaps, sometimes there were conflicting information. So I just wanted to make it simple so that there was less controversy and more learning and just more growth. And so that's why, you know, I was saying before, I am I really want to stick, like, part of what we do is we keep the course with very clear boundaries so that um, people can do that, so you don't get distracted. And the idea was to put things in, and my background is as a trainer way before I met Marshall Rosenberg, and I love training. I love all the aspects of training, which means, how am I going to say something? When am I going to say something? In what order am I going to say something? How, you know, how much participation versus how much, you know, downloading, all that stuff. I love, I just love that work. I've done it for many years. And so, just briefly, the course itself came out of my relationship with Marshall Rosenberg, who taught NVC, invented NVC, and taught it as a language model, which gave him a tremendous amount of coverage on the planet. He had sold over 1 million books. And I met him about 20 years ago, I guess. And he was a little frustrated around, he was very happy with how popular he had become, but he was frustrated around the level of depth that people were achieving with his work. So it was, you know what I mean? So it was widespread, but it wasn't getting deep. It was just kind of sitting on the surface. And, you know, we talked about this a lot, and a lot of, you know, the conclusion was that it came from working from a model, which requires us to reverse engineer. It doesn't actually give us the stuff of the work, it just gives us the end result. And so we went back and forth for, I don't know, a long time. And what I was proposing, and so Rita Herzog was in on this too, was that we learn to teach Marshall's work from what I call a needs awareness perspective. And so that the way we learn this work, and we may talk about this again, is that we first become aware of it, that it exists, and then we find out what it is, and then we start to understand the content of it. So that's when, and by the way, I'm telling you the big picture of the course in a way, right? So it's, what is this stuff, and how does it work? And those of you who have been in the course before, you know that I'm just a maniac about feelings and needs, right? Like I just, that's all I want to pay attention to, because all the work that we do springs from that. And so it's that, and so the thing I love about the course is that we never let go of that. We are constantly bringing the awareness back, and anybody who's been there, you know, has been in it, I think you could attest to this. We're constantly bringing it back to, hey, where's the life energy in this situation? And how do we use our awareness of that and our relationship to that to change how our lives are, to change how our relationships are? And so that's what the course is, right? The course is that approach. So starting from moving to say, hey, this exists, to being able to articulate what it is, to be able to now learn it. In other words, to see the parallel universe of feelings and needs, to see them, to realize that this is a real thing in the universe and that we can recognize them. I mean, literally, it's like life awareness, needs awareness. And it's built on that. So once you have that, once you get that vision, right, of that parallel universe, something that happens to many of us in the work is that we bump into our relationship with our feelings and needs. And it's not necessarily the relationship that we would want to have. It's kind of the relationship we end up with, you could say, with feelings and needs. Growing up in the places where we grow up, that relationship isn't developed the way we do it in the course, right? In a way that can really serve life. And so that's where we get into seeing the parallel universe, articulating the parallel universe, getting our relationship going with our feelings and needs, the things that we think we shouldn't have, the things we've avoided all our lives, the things we don't quite understand, and really understand how these energies in the world can help lead us to an incredibly wonderful life. And so that's what the course does. I'm going to stop right there. That's all we're doing. we're showing it to you, we're helping you see it, and then help you work through your relationship with it so that you can use it for real in your life. That's what it is. So from there, it was working, right? I think we've had as many as 6,000 folks in the course just in 1 year. And we've had, I believe, over 30,000 folks take the course, and it is catching on everywhere. There isn't a place yet on the planet where it's not taking hold. So I'm really happy about that. So it was cool, but not cool enough for me, because I didn't just want this to be a download. I really wanted it to be a community. And so I'm trying to remember where I think Antonio, I swear we had the idea the same day. Which was, we should have practice groups, right? But then we're like, well, how do you do that? And that's where the OF comes from, right? And we were thinking, like, we don't want to make it a big deal where you have to go, and get certified. You don't have to go to X amount of hours of training or anything like that. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that. You do have to have taken the course once before, right? In order to be in the OF. Well, I shouldn't say that either, because you can take the OF if you've never been in the course before, but not as an active facilitator, just as a learning process, so you can get ready for the next year. Also, while you're in it, there's a whole program, right? So we're supporting what we call the practice group community, right? By supporting the organizer facilitators in your interactions with the entirety of the community. So that's what, in a way, you could say that's what the OF is, and that's where it came from. We wanted to create a community that was its own ecosystem. I didn't want it to just be a download, and I can say we have achieved that. We start, because we've added a number of things. We have directories now so that you can find empathy buddies. You can find a practice partner. You can find a mentor. You can find a practice group. You can be a practice group organizer, facilitator. You could be a mentor. You could be a mentee. And so however it is that you like to learn, or one likes to learn, we figured, well, let's just accommodate that and let the community serve the community. The course does remain as the infrastructure, right? As the skeleton, if you will, of everything. And we pay a lot of attention to that. And I think because of that, it's easier to progress in the work. And I'm not saying don't do other things. I'm just saying that this is its own thing that we do a very specific way. So yeah, so that's where that came from. So no, we added what else? Oh, and we had empathy cafes that we added. because we realized there was a need for more empathy training. And let's see, we have empathy circles that we're going to be introducing this year as well. So that's all about creating a self-organizing, self-managing community. And we wanted to do it in integrity with the work. So if we were going to do this, it wasn't going to be a power over structure, right? It wasn't going to be like a regular old org chart that you would see. And so again, we wanted to make the threshold for, entry into a leadership position very low. So you could just get in there and do your thing. And people will figure out if you serve, and you'll figure out if you're serving people or not. How do we know that? Through observation, not through certifying people, but through having people work with one another and then give each other feedback and then publish that feedback as well. So we want to really work on what we're calling observations, right? So how many hours of training have you had in the course? How many years have you taken the course? And inside the course of the training opportunities, which ones have you participated in, right? So there's the first observation. And that is just flat out, not, I was great at it or somebody, waved their hand over me. It's just that I did it. And you can figure out how I am at doing this. And maybe I've never done it before. And I'm going to say that I have 0 hours of experience as a mentor, yet I'm on the mentor directory, right? Or I have 0 hours of experience as a practice group organizer, facilitator, yet I'm in the directory. How do you do that? Well, that was one of the great advantages of having the course be doing the teaching, right? It wasn't that the mentor didn't have to do the teaching. The organizer facilitator doesn't have to do the teaching. The course does the teaching, and then we just kind of move along with it. So another great advantage, right, to having a very specific curriculum. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Anything that I missed, Doreen, Antonio?
Any questions? Yeah, Antonio. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. What is the difference between the empathy cafes and the empathy circles?
The circles are going to be a place. It's going to be people who want to host a circle of people who want to practice empathy. The empathy cafe is something that we're hosting. So we host an empathy cafe. If you want to host an empathy circle for other people to practice empathy, you can do that. But we host empathy cafes ourselves for the community. But circles are something that sometimes you might even want to have them in person. So you can have them online, you can have them in person. It's intentionally directed at just practicing empathy, like nothing else. Not like a practice group, different than a practice group.
Exactly.
I'll just add that the primary difference is that in the cafes, you come in and we'll be doing a specific practice related to empathy, where the circles are just for people to come and break out into groups or do a large group empathy. So you would have to have more skills to come into the circle, or you can learn them while you're there. But the cafe has a little bit more information.
Yeah. And we start those up right around week 10. Because what we do in the course, right, is we establish a basis for having an empathic view of the world. And then as of week 10, we're like, okay, let's go. And everything after week 10, it just asks us to become more and more aware of life energy, right? Just a deeper and deeper awareness of feelings and needs as the course progresses, and then utilizing that awareness to make actual changes in our lives. Sorry
to interrupt, but if I understood correctly, it's like, yeah, you need more experience and resources for the empathy circles, right?
Yes. We were like, we can't do enough. We can't do too much around empathy. Like, because we're realizing, like I said, after week 10,
Mhm.
It's all about empathy. You know, everything that we do, whether it's screaming, whether it's hearing no, whether it's saying no, whether it's all the different things that we do, all
This is
require an
crucial.
empathic view in order for those things to function. So we were like, you know what? We are just cranking it up when it comes to empathy training.
And
I
like
gotta-
sometimes
yeah.
we're going to train people on how to host an empathy circle. That is part of what we're offering this year. Like you have to be part of the training program in order to offer an empathy circle. But part of the reason that we came up with empathy circles is because maybe people can't even make it to the empathy cafes that we host and they need a little bit more support. And so maybe somebody else wants to host an empathy cafe.
Yeah.
Right. It's like their own circle. It's their own empathy circle, if you will.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that the empathy cafes are an amazing idea. I don't have the opportunity to arrive because of the time zone, but I think when I see the recording, it's amazing and it's crucial.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was thinking I would like to offer my cafe too, but
Well,
I don't
you
have
can.
too much
That's all.
experience.
That was the
That's
whole
the-
idea,
Yeah.
right? Like
It's
we're
awesome.
talking.
It's awesome. Hmm.
Yeah.
It's
Right,
awesome the idea of circles because it's more needed because it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's different than practice groups because sometimes people want to go to the course with support from the community because some exercises you can't do on your own. It's really hard to do on your own. And the, practice groups like we're talking about now are really intentional. The intention there is to stay on track with the course every week. You do the exercises or however often you meet. And we'll talk about that. But empathy circles are the intention is to just practice empathy, different than practice groups.
And again, that's in alignment with this idea of having a self-organized, self-managed community, right? Where we're not just, yes, we have empathy cafes because we do want to impart empathy skills. But once you have those empathy skills enough to be able to participate in empathy sessions, we can't provide you enough. We couldn't possibly provide you with enough empathy sessions, right? So again, let's give it to the community and you do your own circles. And look, some people would rather do a practice group. Somebody else would rather do a circle. It depends on, what's alive in you in that time of your life. So that's been added this year. So I'm pretty excited about that too.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump into just talking about some logistics about the organizer
All right.
facilitator.
Juliana
track.
had something.
One thing.
Anton,
Oh, okay.
just real quick. Juliana has something. You have to unmute yourself. You need to unmute.
Yeah. Doreen, I need to ask you, please, how to get onto that directory. Would you?
Oh, that's coming up. The empathy circle directory is coming
Yeah, we'll
up.
talk about all
Not
that.
not the empathy circle, the organized, if you want to facilitate a group.
Well, if you're in the OOF program, you will there's a form that you fill out that puts in the particulars of your group.
So Juliana, are you talking about this past year's 2022's organizer practice group directory? You know what?
No, I'm talking about the coming one, the coming years.
Okay, yeah, that's not
Oh.
set up yet.
Yeah,
Not
that's
yet.
right. We publish that. We'll publish that.
Yeah.
Towards I think
I
it's
guess-
May 20 something.
Yeah, before the course. Before
That's
the
what I
course.
was asking about.
Actually,
And
I
can I
think
just say a few words about how this, just for the sake of these new people, of what my experience has been? A few words.
A few words.
please.
I'm going to hold you to that.
A few words. So I have facilitated a group twice, and twice meaning for 2 years now, second year running. I am on my certification journey, and I always wanted to share NVC, but I didn't have the, I didn't have the confidence to do it. And when I came across this course, I thought, here is every concept so well arranged with the week by week organized with a concept, with example to kind of imagine how you can apply it to your life, and a practice. I thought this is what I need. I don't need to sit and prepare my sessions. If I'm going to give a session, I have it all ready made. So ever since I started doing this, I have been feeling so happy about the fact that I'm sharing NVC with my own selves as well as with the world, because we literally are learning from each other. I always feel that. That's the first thing. So I want to really say thank you for what you're giving the world, Tom. Yeah, through this program. Yeah. And Doreen, your empathy cafes, I've been about 7 years in living in this consciousness. This is my 8th year running. And I was never really clear about how simple giving empathy was till I joined Doreen's empathy cafes. And the way, she worked around it was so simple that I thought, I got the idea at once and I know I can do it. And so in few words and, just exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And I got so much confidence. Just want to say
Great.
this. And
thank you.
For the course. Thank you, Doreen, for what you do.
Yeah.
And Antonio, Tom, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Julia. I love that you said it's so simple, because that's why it's so difficult. Anyway, so cool. All right, so onward, I guess, right? Anto, you want to pick it up?
Yeah, I think just I guess one thing to start off with, I think I kind of already mentioned it a little bit there. In terms of like, how does this how does it all work? So we are going to, we are going to support you. We are going to meet once a month. If you are in the organizer facilitator track, we meet once a month at every third Monday of every month at 12 o'clock Eastern time. And so what do we do on those conferences? If you have questions, if you have doubts, we also, it's very interactive. We also prepare for the coming weeks. So we preview the upcoming weeks and we say, so week 10, 11, 12, and 13 are coming up. Here are the exercises. Here are the suggestions that we have of how you can prepare for your group that week. Seeing as, we've reviewed the exercises, we have some ideas of how to formulate this so that you can turn it into group exercises, so that you can have breakout groups, so that you can practice the exercises, whether that means in pairs or in triads or in a group of 5 or in a group of 7, whatever it might be. We are going to give you the suggestions. Those conferences are recorded. So I know, let's say you're in a totally different time zone. You might even be listening to the recording. If you're in a different time zone and you can't make it, we record them, of course. And, if you have questions about your group, you can always email them in and we will review your questions during the conference. And then also those conferences are recorded. All of the stuff that we talked about getting ready for your group, that's emailed to you. So all the upcoming weeks with the suggestions for the exercises for groups, that's all emailed to you. And then as far as like, how do people find your group? I was a little distracted because I was pulling that up. I'm going to bring that up also. So just to be clear, you are eligible to be an organizer facilitator. What do we do in the organizer facilitator track? You can host a practice group. So if you've been in the course, if you took the course at least once already, I believe that's the agreement. The second time around, you can lead a practice group in the organizer facilitator track. If this is your first time in the course, you can join the organizer facilitator track. You just won't be hosting a group. It's almost like you'll be able to listen in on the meetings, ask questions. You can be very active during the monthly meetings of the organizer facilitator conferences. Right. I don't want to take anything away from that. So the thing is, right, I think our reasoning for that is so that you can really have some preparation of what's at store, what does this all entail, so that you're not surprised with like, oh my God, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Speaking of a lot of work, you direct when you want to host a practice group. The thing that I think usually helps is if you have a rhythm. If you either meet every week, every other week, once a month, so that, and really check in with yourself to know how much you can handle. This is one of those places where, and look, I mean, obviously things can change along the way. So you figure out, how do you want to run your practice group? It's your practice group, it's your time. So along those lines, I think it's great. And I think it's, one of the things that I think is important for us around here is like an exchange of energy. So you can list your fee for your practice group. I think if I take a quick look, I think people were asking for different fees, all the way from $50 for 5 sessions. So you're talking $10 a session, to sometimes maybe $20 a session I'm seeing here also. So it really depends.
And there were some free practice groups as well.
Yeah, there are some free ones.
Which is one of the things I love. It's like, I think that's how you become a barber, right? Like they bring you to this place and they're like, you cut people's hair until you're good at it. And you don't charge them because you're not good at it yet. Exactly, So we kind of wanted to make something similar to that, like, just, full, kind of full transparency there. Yes, I have never facilitated a practice group before in my life, but I'm really interested I have these folks behind me who are guiding me to help me do it. I have the course in front of me, in front of us, so that will guide us as well. And so, yeah, I can pull this off. I can pull this off because you don't need to know the work. You just need to help everybody get together and do it together.
And
peer-led.
Kind of like, yeah. And to kind of give an idea of like, what's the layout of a practice group, as far as like what we suggest, and something that a lot of people actually go by. So maybe
actually, could I just talk about that, Anto?
Yeah.
One of the things that we do is, especially in the beginning, right? We'll talk about that's why I love that this course only happens once a year, because we're all doing the same thing at the same time, always. And so in the beginning of the course, we're all in the beginning of the course. And so we'll talk about what's important at the beginning of the course, like what format do you want to choose, as, what's the big picture of learning this work? What format do I want to choose? And we give you some help there in the beginning. We'll say, hey, you could do this, you could do that. So we give you plenty of helpful hints so you're not lost, right? So you do have that. And then as the year moves on, so do we as a group, right? So we'll start to talk about other things like, hey, I've got this person in my group who keeps wanting to change what we're doing every night. Or I have somebody who just doesn't agree with anything we have to say, or they want to keep introducing new exercises, or they just want to do empathy all the time. How do I deal with this? Help, right? And that's what we're for. Yeah, and we'll role play these things. We'll talk them out. I've done almost 10,000 hours worth of practice group facilitation in my life. I've seen a lot. And so there's certain things I've learned. Why you don't have to reinvent them. Or rediscover them. I'll let you know how I did it, and how it worked. And so that's the idea here, like a genuine sense of support moving through this.
Yeah. And again, you will figure out. Sometimes, look, a popular choice for some organizer facilitators, they like to do between an hour to an hour and a half of their group. And in terms of what you do there's a lot of how to. The other really cool thing, there is an organizer facilitators Telegram group, And I mean, I cannot say enough for people like Juliana, like Carol, you name it. There are people who are on that network who are just, and they will provide you with the support that you need when we are not there on the conferences every third Monday. So like, you know, you're like, oh my God, I just had this, you know, crazy experience in my group. I really could use some support as to how to handle this. There are professionals out there who have been doing this for a while. Like I said, we're entering the 4th year of this program. And so the community aspect is so important here. It's vital. It's what makes this thing actually continue working and growing as it is actually.
Yeah. And there are plenty of folks who have done it for 10 years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there
exactly.
is we're accumulating, you know, some elders here.
Well, they've taken the course for 10 years. But
Yeah.
yeah. I guess maybe we can jump into like, what does it look like? Just a real quick glance as to like when May comes around in the course is when you can start listing your group. Why May? Why before the course begins? So that people can get ready and they have their group so that when the course begins, they're on board with a group. You can even limit how many people you have in your group. It's your group. When May comes around, we will send you out this form. It will be updated. And what we're asking for here is the information that people need in order to find your group. And so this is just for organizer facilitators, right? Only you will receive this information. So I think just to go over this, you're going to list your name, your email address. This is where people will contact you. Your group information, including the cost of it, and any information that you want to post about it. Like, you know, this is a group for people who've taken the course various times. Maybe, I don't know. It's this is where you post the information of your
Yeah.
group.
I mean, just to throw something in there, I'm aware of a practice group that's for practice group organizer facilitators. I'm also aware of a practice group. As a matter of fact, I just that Corey's going to be doing a weekly practice group for people who are in the certificate of completion track. So just so people who have specifically have that interest can get together and support one another. And Corey's decided he wanted to create the venue for that.
Yeah. So again, this is where you put that information. When do you want to host a group? Look, I know of groups that have changed their meeting date. So this could be the start, and then you can always edit. If you want to host, by the way, if you want to host 2 to 3 groups, you can just send in 2 to 3 of these. And then you have 3 group listings, by the way. How often is a group going to meet? Is it on a weekly basis, every other week, once a month? If you want to discuss this with your participants, you have that option also. Where is the group located, like your time zone? That way it helps people who are looking for a group find a group that works in their time zone as well. Your approximate start time and end time, like, so that you give people an idea, like, oh, this is from, 12 to 1 p.m. Right? Where will you meet? Online or in person? These questions here have to do with like your level of experience. We offer Empathy 101. We offer the Working with Anger workshops, and maybe you've taken them live on Zoom with us, or maybe you listen to the recording. So if you've done that, you can just let people know that you've actually taken those trainings with us as well. If you have previously hosted a group, that's something that maybe people are looking for, and again, just another way for people to just call out different information. Meeting time, about what time. I'll show you why we're asking this, because maybe some people are looking for a morning group for themselves, and they can go through the categories and select, I'm looking for a morning group. So again, there's this: how many years have you participated in the compassion course yourself? And does the group have open spots? So that's what you're going to fill out as information on your end. As far as what the participants see, I'm going to zoom in on this so that I don't really show private information from other groups. But this is what you would be looking at if you were a participant. This is a directory. And so contact, again, the instructions are in here. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the one that I made just so that I can show you. If I'm an organizer facilitator, this is how my name shows up in the directory. I can scroll through the right and see all the information here of what this group is about. You're going to, again, this is where you post your practice group information. And
Right.
if I keep
And by the way,
scrolling
we don't,
over,
right. And so everybody administers their own group, right? Like
yeah,
we don't actually
yeah.
offer you a framework. We offer you a framework to find one another, but in terms of, you know, exchanging money and all that stuff, that's everybody does that in their own desired way.
Yeah. And it might
Uh,
even, you know, honestly, it saves time and money. If you handle your money your way and you don't have to maybe even worry about fees and stuff like that, might even be better.
yeah.
This would be the day of the week that the group meets, how often it meets, the time zone, about what time it meets, and then where it's going to meet. This one I said it was online. I said that I took Empathy 101, and I said that there are active spots open. It's an afternoon group, and 2 years I said for how long I've taken the compassion course. I said 2 years, and I believe group has open spots is this one, and this one was previously hosted a practice
Yeah,
group.
there you
If I previously hosted a CCO group, there you go. Let me see if I can scroll to the top to show you the category headings here. This is how people can also sort through a group. Let me scroll up. There we are.
Right. So you can actually change the order of the groups based on, you're right. If you click on a heading, it'll
There we
sort
is.
them.
So these
Yes.
headings, so like if I'm a participant and I'm looking for a group that meets in the afternoons, I can select this, and then it's going to give me all the morning groups.
It clumps
Um,
everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. If I'm looking for a group that is on the East Coast, I can again select a time zone. So, anyways, that's kind of like just
Yeah.
a quick run through.
There's one other thing that I think bears mentioning here, and that is that you can start a practice group at any time during the year. Because remember, like we're all taking the course together, right? We're all taking it at the same time. So let's say somebody's in a practice group and they're like, I'm not that happy. I'm going to look for a different practice group. They're on the same week that you're on. So everything, you know what I mean? So everything matches up so people can move, have a lot more mobility and choice inside that community as a result.
Yeah.
Now, we did not do that on
I was-
purpose, okay? But
Yeah.
it turns out that way. So
Yeah. As far as like a minimum or maximum size for people, I think it depends. I mean,
yeah,
I know of some people that are very happy with just having 3 to 4 people. I think a good number to make it work is between 7 to 10. That works usually pretty great. So, and this is going to be one of those things again where it's your group. And so we have suggestions. I think 7 to 10 is a great number for various reasons like crowd control, breakout groups, length of the group. Also, if I wanted to be an hour, that's usually a good number of people for there to be for an hour. So I think hopefully that gives a little bit context of like all of the stuff that I just went through. Maybe it gives context of how this runs on your end of like
Yeah.
all the things that kind of make up your group, if you will.
And you can stick your toe in the water or you can jump in the water. I know we had at least one organizer, facilitator that did 3 groups a week and made a living doing compassion course practice groups. So, I mean, you can take it that far actually, if you feel like it. Or you could, you could stay on the level of, it's just something that you love to do. An avocation, I believe, is the term.
Yeah. So hopefully that covers all of the how this all works. And I don't know if there's any questions, let me know. I know I went through some things here. Maybe just take a quick moment there.
Juliana's got something.
Yeah. You're gonna...
Sorry, Antonio, so the form is one thing that we fill if we want to be on the
Yes.
directory, and that table also we have to fill, and when or who
No,
fills?
that form
When you-
automatically fills out that directory.
So
It
we
goes
don't have
into
to
the
fill it.
directory.
So we
Correct.
don't have to fill that. That will automatically go there.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yes.
And Antonio, when is the directory open to participants?
May 20 something.
May,
Right?
yeah, I think it's May. What is it? It
So is
may
it
open.
early May that they fill out the form?
I think it's May 22nd. Yeah, so the directory opens May 22nd. I believe in the confirmation email for organizer facilitators, you receive this form, I believe, May 1st or 2nd, around there. So you have about 2 weeks. Actually, more.
Okay.
Shall I jump in? Are you finished, Antonio?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
let's say you're going to go over just how, okay.
Just a little bit about the agreements.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So since a basic concept of the course is about considering your needs and others, rather than having rules, we have an agreement that organizer facilitators fill out. And that gives us clarity, works on integrity, some trust and consistency. And as Tom mentioned, you could start a group at any time during the year, but also someone could join a group at any time in the year if you were open to that. We do ask that participants are registered in the compassion course, although we did say that you could be an OF and not have participants as well. You are not training or teaching. You agree that you're facilitating or organizing because you're not responsible for the content. You are carrying out the curriculum of the compassion course. And we ask that you do that exclusively. I know some people will do, a meditation, and there may be other things that you think might be helpful in that practice group, but really ask that you stick with the content of the course. And part of that is because there is a lot to cover. You will, over time, develop your own style of how you want to present that same information that we're all covering in the course. The purpose of the group is to clarify and practice the content and the exercises that are there. Sometimes you will harvest exercises that people did at home or the week before. You can do some practices together, and these are some of the things that we will talk about in the trainings. You can discuss the participants' challenges and celebrations. And if you have any questions during the, from your practice groups, you can bring them to the conferences with Tom and the team.
As well as to the Telegram group, by the way. 'Cause
Yes,
we do have, it's quite
Yeah.
a wisdom circle going there right now.
Yes. And you agree that you will attend or listen to the conferences so that you get the information to guide you. And that's what I have about agreements.
All right.
And also, part of the agreement is that, by the way, this has been amazing to read as they have been coming in recently. About week 40, which is about now, to start handing out feedback forms to your participants. Why we're asking for this as part of the agreement is, and look, I mean, I think part of the agreement is to you keep it handy throughout the year, and you could even make it available to participants beforehand. It's a way for us to have quality assurance. Right. And if you want a copy of the feedback forms that are coming in, just let us know. Some organizer facilitators actually have created their own feedback forms, because if you want to have a track record of your work, create a feedback form. I know Google Forms has them for free. And there's different services that you can use. There's what's the other one? SurveyMonkey, I think. So there are no cost feedback services out there that you can use for, just to have people fill out a form. And you can receive that yourself. The feedback forms that we are giving you are the ones that we are asking for you to hand out to your participants, so that we can read how it's going out there, really.
Yeah.
feedback forms that have been coming in these past few weeks, all of them have been a 5 out of 5. And the only thing that people are asking for is more time. So I think we'll take that.
Nice. Yeah, there was something else that, I guess, yeah, the other thing is that we are going to be opening up a space for feedback. One of the ways that you can effectively run a Power With organization is through observation, right? We talked about that before. And so you can see we built it in, right? Like how many years have you taken the course? How many have you taken the extra trainings? Well, there's going to be there's a spot there where you can see there's a link, and hopefully soon you'll be able to have a profile there on your link, and that's where you put what people experienced. Again, more observation, right? Let's get as much observation as we can. And so if the folks if you do have a practice group, if you facilitate a practice group, people can let others know this worked for me, this didn't work for me. And we can add these observations into the works, so to speak, for the community. And that's how we can do that, right? Like, it's just pure information. Like, we're just providing lots of information so people can make their own decisions. I love this. This is adult education, right? Like, we can do this. We can figure out who we want to work with and who we don't if we have enough information. And so that's the whole concept of this, right? Is that this directory is providing the information that people need to make their own decisions. And that just cuts out a whole bunch of, kind of administrative weird things that can get in the way. All right.
I think we
questions?
put it
Any
all out
questions?
there.
I know we're a little over, right?
Questions.
Anything? No? Cool. We're that complete, huh? We nailed it. No. Is there anything? Are you, okay, let me just take your temperature here. On a scale of like 1 to 10, this is like, I've got all the information I need. Thank you very much. This is, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. So how are we right now on a scale of 1 to 10? Like, okay, we got a 20. All right. All right. I see an 8. Do you have a question, MJ? No? Okay. If you do, let us know. All right. And that goes for everybody, not just MJ. So cool. All right. Then I think we're a wrap. Yes? Agreed? Wonderful. All right. So thank you. Thank you for coming. Thanks for the partnership. Thanks for the company.
And by the way, look, if anything comes up in the way, whether it's finances, whether it's time, whether it's, something that you're worried about and you want to communicate it to us, please reach out. Like, if you want to do this and you're serious about it, we are serious about it as well. So please let us know. Like,
that's true. We keep track. We keep close track of how many people have been refused entry into the course because of money. And that number is 0. So that's a big deal around here, right? That we never, ever, ever let money get in the way. That goes for you too, right? For all of us. So, all right.
Cool. All right. Hopefully we'll
Thank you so much.
Ciao, ciao. See you around campus.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thanks,
Hi,
everybody.
MJ.
Thank you all.
Hi. Nice to
Thank
see you.
Hi, Juliana.